Yeah. Okay, part two of Russ Emanuel. We started talking about Russ the person. Now we are going to talk about Russ's film Quarantine, which we had done earlier today. Okay, a couple of different questions. First off, I want to start off by talking about Sean Kenny. To those that may not know who Sean Kenny is, I cannot believe that man is in his 80s. Either you did something special effect wise or prettied him up or something. How does he look like that? I just have to ask.
He has really good genes. I'm telling you, I was just with him and his wife Taki about a week
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that guy looks younger than me. I'm telling you, I don't
Serious?
know. I mean he's just in really good shape. He and his wife, I mean, they just know how to, I don't know, have just, exercise, just I don't know, eat right.
Yeah,
I can't tell you what his secret is. I wish, I had it. But yeah, he looks really good. And
yeah.
he's sharp, mind is sharp, he's physically active. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Well, and I want to ask you, of course, because a lot of times one of the things that I think people struggle with when they make films and they have a great idea for a feature is obviously Sean is recognizable and people have seen him on other projects. So, how do you approach someone like that and get them interested in something that you've written, or did you have a relationship with him?
So you see, I've directed several feature films, and a
Yes.
lot of them have had Star Trek actors.
Yeah.
And that has helped because Sean is in Star Trek,
Yep.
and I think he was recommended by other people who has have worked with me, in
Okay.
the Star Trek field. And I met him. This is pre-COVID. He and his wife Taki through a friend named Ed Maurer, who's
Okay.
one of the executive producers of Quarantine Staycation and my new feature, All for Tomorrow. So big shout out
Okay.
to Mr. Maurer. But yeah, we met. That's how we met. And his co-star Olivia Dabo, same thing. She knows Sean. She knows Ed. You see, they know each other. And I guess they looked me up. They're like, okay, so he's, done these films and worked with these people, and they're like, okay, maybe we'll take a chance on him. And that's, I think, how it happened. I'm fortunate that these people still want to work with me. But yeah, I'm very grateful, especially Sean and his wife
Yeah.
Taki. They're beautiful people. Now, they've had me over. I've had them over, and we go out to
Oh,
eat food. I mean, it's fun. It's
that's
fun.
lovely. You
Yeah,
betcha.
this is very
Um,
wonderful people.
to those, and I'm going to tiptoe around because I don't want everybody to I don't want to give away the entire story. So in Quarantine, of course, Sean plays a doctor. And so we see him and we don't quite know what his agenda or motive is. We're just thinking the good doctor is trying to figure out this Nix virus that's going on. So were there particular performances in the past that drew you to him and thought this would be the perfect person to play this? Or what do you think it is that nailed the coffin that said, yeah, he's the man?
Well, one thing that we did is we added an element of like smoking in the
Yes.
film. He does that. I can give that part away. He was the Winston man in the 70s on the billboards. Yeah. So
Oh,
that's kind of like, I was like channeling that. Obviously, he didn't just play Captain Pike in the original series. He was also, it was a lieutenant role.
yeah.
The name of the lieutenant. It was in the episode Arena, and I'm flagging on the name, but he
Okay.
gave a certain performance there. He did other films in the 70s, one with cats, and I was kind of channeling that. And again, I'm like I'm having old man syndrome here. I'm like cannot remember the name of the film, and I
Okay.
apologize. I
No, that's okay.
apologize, Sean. But yeah, it had cats in it, and so yeah, I was
Okay.
channeling those films as he did. I was also channeling. He was supposed to play like a Dr. Fauci type character,
Ah,
whereas Olivia
okay.
Dabo is supposed to play like a Katie Couric type
That's right.
news reporter. That's why
Gotcha.
for Olivia she was doing an American accent because she was supposed to be an American news reporter, but she's British. She's British in
Oh,
real life. So,
okay.
but she
Gotcha.
said, "Should I do American?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're supposed to be like Katie Couric," and with him, I'm supposed to be like Dr. Fauci.
Gotcha.
And he's supposed to tell the American nation everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, and
Yep.
it's not.
Gotcha. So in the course of the film, one of the things that we learn is the condition we're talking about is called the Nix virus. I just
Mhm.
thought that stood out to me. I'm like, where did you come up with Nix from? Like, where did that whole thing come from?
It's the goddess of sleep.
Really?
Yeah, Nyx is sleep.
I
So
did
it's
not know that.
to fall asleep. And just like the COVID virus, it takes two
Yes.
weeks. The 2 weeks for the symptoms to, and then you have fever, and then you have
Yep.
other symptoms like COVID. So we put a lot of COVID in there. Obviously, it's a lot of COVID.
Right.
It's a commentary on COVID,
Yes.
but again with a more horror twist. And I'm not going to say any more than that.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what the next virus is. Is basically you fall asleep, and
Yes.
people who have the next virus after 2 weeks, they sort of become comatose, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we had talked about this earlier in another panel about the idea or concept of doing a horror film. And so when I first
Mhm.
watched Quarantine, and most of you who watch it, you wouldn't get that vibe right out of the get-go. You would get that something is going on. So it's kind of a sneak up on people, so to speak. And so for you, I think you've kind of made it a habit to some
Uh,
degree of doing these thriller type
yeah.
gotcha. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
like that. I love
there you
that
go.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, my new film, If All for Tomorrow, has the same twists that I hope nobody could see coming. It's all about like mind bending. You're bending the mind. You want people to be like, "Oh my God, I didn't see that coming." Hopefully, like with Occupants, there's this one scene in Occupants, and there are people that go, and I'm like, yes, because they didn't see it coming, and that was the whole point. That's what I was
Yeah.
trying, to convey. Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah. So hopefully you think it's something else. And but there are hints. There's hints, like for instance, and I'm semi giving it away, but if you look at the actress Bailey Sorrell, which by the way, thank you for the nomination for her, but
Yes.
she is dressed up like a doll. If you look at her, she is very dressed up, and that is done on purpose. The way
God.
she looks, her
Ah.
hair, her
Yeah.
clothes, everything, and how the boyfriend Matt is like, "Why are you dressed like that?" Well, there is a reason why she's dressed like that, but
Sure.
those are the subtle hints. If you
Yeah.
really watch it closely, yeah, we put hints in
That's
there.
right. I didn't
Hmm.
think about that until now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bailey, we should talk about the two main characters. So, this particular movie, you will find out it switches over, and we see this couple who have been separated, like most of us during COVID, where you weren't able to see one another. And there's this beautiful sequence that plays out where we get to learn about their relationship and about
Yeah.
each other and seeing the changes that can happen. Well, really, realistically, with any illness and how things progress, etc. And so you keep it very mysterious, but I love the development of the relationship of the two of them. And so have the two of them collaborated together before? And
No.
also when you were shooting this, were they in separate rooms purposely? Could it kind of set the tone?
Okay, so they have not met before this, but what I like to do, and I did this on my feature occupants too, where it involved a couple that's been married.
Yeah.
I asked them, why don't you get a cup of coffee together, go to Starbucks or Coffee Bean or wherever,
Yep.
just learn about each other, or Zoom. I mean, in this case, they Zoomed, because this was the COVID era.
Oh, sure.
But I told them just talk to each other. You're supposed to be boyfriend and girlfriend, in quarantine. So that's
Yeah.
what they did. And then we were able to, so we filmed at a film studio called Envisionate Studios. And in the studio, there's different sets. And so his set there was a bedroom set, and we made that into a hotel room. And then her set was kind of like next door,
Yeah.
and we made that into the house set. Um, and so they were there. I asked them to be there to support each other. So they read each other's lines. They were there physically, even though supposedly they're in separate continents. That way, I thought the performance would be more natural, and hopefully that's how it turned out. So yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was there and she was there, reading for each other's lines. If
Gotcha.
she's in the home, then he's behind the camera with
You
me.
bet. I
Yeah,
getcha.
and then vice versa.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it played out very nicely and the chemistry was really lovely between the two of them. And you could feel that sort of connection. And it was very believable that they love one another and their separation. And it's still trying to stay strong despite all of that. Um, I want to talk a bit about you shot in 6K. I don't get to talk to a lot of people who do that actually. And no surprise there, but Russ does it, obviously. So, advice to fellow filmmakers on this, because a lot of times when I talk to folks, their biggest concern is 6K is hard to play everywhere. If you're not just in a big movie theater.
Yeah, we're not shooting in 6K to play in 6K. We're shooting in
Okay.
6K because to do some visual effects, for instance,
Right.
stabilizing a drone shot.
Right.
And if you're outputting in 4K, you have an extra 2K of footage to work with. That's
Gotcha.
why we shoot in 6K.
Okay.
It's higher resolution. For instance, if you have to punch in and do a quote unquote close up versus a medium shot,
Yeah.
you have that resolution. It will still hold. That's why
Okay.
we shoot at 6K. Now, shooting at
Gotcha.
6K though, it required two 20 terabyte hard drives to store the footage.
Oh,
So it
Lord.
and just for a feature, I mean, for a short, it's different.
Oh, right, right.
Less data, but it's a lot of data. You have to take that into consideration. And of
Yeah.
course, you have to swap out the cars, download the footage while you're shooting. Swap out the cars, download the footage. I mean, it's a lot of data.
Yeah.
So cost benefit analysis. People could shoot in 2K still. People do
You
output it.
think?
Oh yeah, yeah, they still do that.
I getcha.
I see films still played on like DVD resolution, HD resolution, and some people have the Blu-rays or, Ultra HD,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, Ultra HD, I think it's 4K, right? So yeah, but some people just play on Blu-rays now, which is what 2K.
That's
It,
wild.
I just think that 6K is good to shoot with if you could have the option in post-production
Right.
to manipulate the visuals better.
I getcha.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was at NAB not so long ago, one of the things they were talking about is more and more people utilizing 8K technology. Is that even available for filmmakers at this point?
If it is, I'd be scared to use it for now.
You think
It's
so?
just too much
Really?
data. It's just too much
Uh,
data. It's just it's yeah, it's too much data. You have to store the footage and you
yeah,
have to get. Yeah, I cannot wrap my head around that, to be honest.
I
The
get you.
new film that we're doing, we're shooting 4K with the Red Komodo. That's what
Oh,
we're doing with the new film.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I just yeah.
Okay. Is it conceivable to ask about, I want to tiptoe around this. There comes a point within the film where you utilize certain setups as in a bit of special effects. I think that's fair to say. So advice, first off, how complicated were yours to do? And moreover, when it comes to other folks, one of the two biggest things I hear from filmmakers, I'm terrified to do animation because it's expensive and hard to do. I'm terrified of looking at doing special effects because it has to look real and that's expensive. So how would you address that?
You just have to budget it. And for us, the shot that you're referring to was our money shot. That
Ah,
was the big
yes.
reveal. Yeah. And
Yes.
again, I don't know how much I can give it away, but in order to, well, I will say this, in order to put her into the makeup, it did take 3 hours. You have to take
Oh,
that into
wow.
consideration. And
Got
she
it.
actually couldn't see because she had to have custom contacts on. We had to wheelchair her into the set.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally, we gave her custom contacts, which means she had to go to an optometrist, get a prescription. And then our special makeup effects artist, Christopher Osorio, had to create it and had to
Okay.
create the latex effects and everything up for her face. So it took a lot. I mean, it was a lot of work.
Oh, gosh.
But you planned this. That's what pre-production's all about, right? You
Oh,
plan
yeah.
all this. And then
Absolutely.
hopefully when you film it, it turns out how you expected it. Now, I did something like that on a previous film, Occupants, where
Yeah.
the same actress, she kind of played two different characters, and she had to be in the same shot together.
Oh, yeah.
But we
Yeah.
filmed like 4 hours apart, so she was a actual natural blonde, and then we wrapped her performance as Annie Curtis. Then she dyed her hair brunette, and that takes I don't know how many
Oh,
hours. And
yeah.
then yeah, but the camera had to be, it was a hot set. The camera can't move, nothing. And then we did her performance as parallel Annie, and then I what I did was like I recorded my laptop with my
Hmm.
phone, and I just quickly tried to put it together, the footage of her, and it worked. And that's how I
Ah,
knew we had our money shot. We kind of did the same thing with this here, but she
okay.
had to recreate her performance.
Okay.
I can't say too much, but she
I
does
know
it.
you can.
She does it in one. She recreates her performance twice, and
Yes.
it takes several, and it takes like 3 hours of makeup in between.
Oh gosh, that poor girl. Look at that. But the end
Yeah,
result,
it was a lot.
obviously, you got your aha moment and you got your, oh my gosh. And then of course, what's nice is that it wraps up nicely, even though that's not the final. Because obviously quarantine is the start for staycation, but it stops in a nice place where we're all like, okay, and then goes to silence, of course. When I was watching the film, uh, three takeaways that I took from this is, first of all, like I was talking about, it does delve into what our relationships look like when sickness takes a toll upon our relationship. Number
Mhm.
two, it asks and begs the question of how much can we trust what is given to us, whether it be the media or the medical field, when it comes to illness and disease and things of that nature. And number three, it also brings up the frightening perspective of how easily one can become manipulated by society. I think that's safe to say. But
Mhm.
since you're the creator, two sentences. What is quarantine to you?
Quarantine to me is, trying to get through a pandemic in the best way you can,
Right?
even if you may be separated by continents. And trust me, I have family members in Japan and I have friends all over the world. So yeah,
Yeah,
this
it's a
is very
lot.
personal.
Absolutely. Now, if I were to ask you, and I know I should never do this, but compared to your other short films, where does Quarantine list on the really proud or this is the better one? Where are you ranking this one?
I'm proud of this one. I really
Me
am.
too.
I meant, look, for instance, like in the when we filmed the was it the Kathy scenes, right?
Yeah.
I meant you had like visually like police. You see the red and blue lights for the
Oh,
police
yeah.
time.
Uh-huh.
And that was lighting effects. The rain, it was supposed to be raining, and that was again effects done by the gaffer, Jorge
Huh.
Hernandez. Yeah, no, I'm proud of it. I think it looks great. I thought Harris, Harris, who was the DP,
Yeah.
he was the editor, he was the writer. I mean, he wrote this, I didn't write this. He did. The poignant moments that, Matt is describing how they first met.
Yeah.
That he came up with that. I didn't come up with that. He was a great writer. I mean, he's sorely missed, my filmmaking
Yes.
partner. He's
You
my
bet.
best friend. I can say that. He was my best friend. And
Hmm.
it's I wish he was here. I wish he was here in the Zoom with me,
Yeah.
doing this. He should be.
I
He's
know.
very much entitled to have been here, and he's not, unfortunately. So,
Yes.
no, I'm very proud of this film. I really am. I worked with some wonderful people, and the fact is, we did it before there was even vaccines for the COVID virus. We shot in
Yep.
November 2020, and the first vaccines came out, I think, December 2020,
Oh, yeah.
if I'm
That's
not
right.
mistaken. Yeah,
I
late
think
December.
so. Yeah.
So this was like high. This was like when, if you remember the news channels, CNN, Fox, everybody was doing the
Sure.
death. Remember the death count?
Yep.
Yeah, for COVID. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were kind of taking that, as inspiration for,
Oh,
doing
yeah.
something. See, he was wearing a mask. I mean, Sean Kenny, on
Yeah.
purpose. In the staycation, he is called the mask professor because that
Yeah.
was the image that this Dr. Fauci character wanted to portray to the United States,
Yep.
that I'm willing to mask up.
Yep.
That's what he was saying, and that's why he was masked.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm very proud of this film.
As you should be.
And
Uh,
thank you for having it. And again, thank you,
of
especially for
course.
Bailey. I know Bailey's super excited, so
I'm
thank you.
sure she is. Now, if people want to see Quarantine, where are you going next? Where's it at next? Is it
Oh,
somewhere else?
yeah, let me see here. Hold on. I
I
actually
figure you'd
had
know
that set.
that. Like, yeah, there's like 17 more screenings. That would be a very typical Russ thing to
Okay,
say.
so the only one that's really screening is in India, and I don't think
Oh,
anybody can see it there. But that's February 26th. That's at the Reels International Film Festival. But it's screened at, it's been screening. In fact, I was in Vegas for a screening with Sean and Taki. They live in Vegas, so he was
okay.
able to come up. It's called Gamescom, and we were there. So
Gotcha.
yeah, you are I guess one of the finales for this film. But you could always see this film as, as the feature on
Yeah,
distribution. It's
right.
under the title Apocalypse Death Party. That's what our
Yes.
distributor. You were talking about distributor. Well, they sometimes want to change the titles. And in this case, I actually wholeheartedly agreed. Because in the end, I want more people to see this film. And
Of
they said
course.
that title will definitely attract more attention. I'm like, that's perfectly fine, This is one of
Yeah,
those things that you as a producer or director have to figure out with your distributor if you're okay with
absolutely.
doing that. And I
You
was, and
bet.
I asked my investors, and they're like, yeah, 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 that's
Good
fine.
for you.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell us anything about the upcoming film? Because I don't want you to give anything away. Can you say
Oh, you mean
anything?
All for Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so All for Tomorrow, a film that we're filming in February of next year.
Yeah.
Again, I was able to secure the financing, which I'm super grateful to my investors. And we have actors like Kelly Maroney from
Yeah.
yeah, not, was it Ridgemont High, Night of the Comet,
Yep.
those right. Tracy Coco and Sean Kenny has a vocal cameo, so they're back. Those three main
Ah,
actors are
very
back from
cool.
vacation. Yeah, and then we have some newcomers that I'm very happy to work with, like Gary Sugai, Brady Smith. I mean, there's yeah, and I'm trying to cast our lead
Female.
actors right now. Yeah,
Yes, that's right. You mentioned
yeah,
that.
the character of Sophia. The page is on IMDb, so you can see the page. It's up there,
Okay.
and yeah, it's basically a story of a guy, and he has no memory of what happened, and he has to figure out why he's what's going on basically. And
Gotcha.
it is a mystery. It has a sci-fi twist, and it's
Okay.
about coming to terms with your own mortality, if you will.
Okay.
And again, I think I'm channeling myself into the main character of Pete Harlan, because, just like him, I have to come to terms with the fact that my filmmaking partner passed away.
Right.
And we all get older, and this is kind of like, me at my age of 48. So, I'm dealing with, me. It's
I
it's a
get it.
film about me, basically.
A
When I
film
think
about
about it, that's
me.
what it is. Yeah.
Who
So,
doesn't love that?
I'm very invested in this film because I really understand these characters because they're
Sure.
me,
Of course.
and I'm very excited to work with this casting crew. I'm working with a new DP, Sophia Cacciola. I met
Nice.
her at a film festival 6 years ago, and she's really good with horror genre films. And I've always wanted to, if I were to work with somebody else, I would obviously have worked with Harris, but he's no longer with me. So I need to work with a new crew. And I very much look forward to working with her and her husband, Michael Epstein's her husband's name.
Okay.
And they're going to use the Red Komodo Dragon 2 camera setup, which I'm
Ooh.
excited for. We're shooting at a very beautiful film studio, and yeah, I'm excited. I really am.
This sounds exciting just listening to it. Of course, another Russ M Productions. I don't want to forget to mention that if anybody's looking for
Some
them. Russ
productions, yeah.
M Productions, RUSSEM Productions. This is what I'd like to say to you. As always, I never have to hesitate to wonder if I'm going to get a good film when this man sends it to me. Not only is it good, but it's always extraordinary and over the top, whether it's casting, story, cinematography, or just overall value. You bring value to this festival and you bring beautiful projects. I couldn't be more happy to know that you got nominated and to have you present for both Quarantine and Staycation.
Thank you.
Just thank you for the gift of all that you bring us. Just thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.